Hey guys, welcome back to Pete Punch Beef Gaming, where we're going to do another episode of my Path to Glory Age of Sigmar results. This time around, we're going to be focusing on week 2 and taking a look at my overall goals. All right, so for the goals for this week, we had two primarily. I wanted to get in 2 games and I wanted to try and get 2 units painted. Let's first start with the games. So, unfortunately, I was only able to get a single game in, but it was a great game, and it was a rematch against the Nurglekin army that I fought the last time around, and unfortunately got blown out. This time around, I did manage to take the victory. It was a major victory, but it wasn't because my opponent didn't play a great game. As a matter of fact, he played a super fantastic game. He changed up his list a little bit, and he added a great unclean one, which I have to be honest was super intimidating when he got it on the board. And probably if I was a smarter player, I would have stayed the heck away from it. But of course, a target that big, I had to throw my Sigmar force at it and see what I could do with it during the game. So let's talk a little bit about the game specifically. We played the Veins of Gur, which is the last mission in the General's Handbook 2021. And this is one where there are no objectives set up on the board initially. At the top of turn 2, you set up one kind of in the middle. And then on the top of turn 3, before you decide who goes first, you set up one in at the top of your opponent's deployment zone and one at the bottom of your opponent's, or at your, not the bottom of your deployment zone, but at the top of your deployment zone. Most of the objectives, we had one kind of on the far right or his far left, and then the other 2, the deployment zone objectives, were on the opposite side. So it made an interesting event overall because his great unclean one, and he had the rest of his army kind of move up center towards that main objective, and we were playing 1,000 points, just as a recap. I was able to move my forces in. I brought in my Annihilators with their shields, and I brought in another unit of my Vindicators, and I brought in my General, and I brought in my Knight Arcanum, and they all swarmed the Great Unclean One and his demons. I sent one unit of Vindicators out to the opposite side to try and secure the objective in his deployment zone, and plus also slow down his summoning. He was getting so many summoning points he had 2 of those bloat trees or whatever you call them in the back, and he was able to summon a Chaos Beast and another character with all of the points that he had, which was overwhelming. But I did manage to take down his Great Unclean One. I may have been able to take him down in the first turn where all the charges came in. I ended up doing like 12 wounds to him. The top of turn, actually it was the bottom of turn 2. I just missed out on it. But my General, despite the fact that he had re-rolled twice, just failed the charge. It was like a 5-inch charge, and I think I rolled a 3 and then a 4. It fell short. So I wasn't able to put it over the top, but I was able to take him out eventually and get the win. Praetorians rock solid as ever, and it's super great to pull off mortal wounds onto the Praetorians. Did a nice job of guarding my General. I will note that he did fall at the end. My opponent conceded at the bottom of turn 4 because he had the second go on turn 4. And but we had a lot of fun. Overall, I got about 12 glory points for it. I spent 1 on healing. I spent 1 to advance my quest, which was to get search for artifact, and I was able to pick up the search for artifact quest and complete that. I did get an extra glory point for completing the game because of the Realmstone Reserve territory that I got in my previous game, which was great. And then I had to build out my army list because we're playing 1,500 points the next time around, which is going to be great. So I ended up recruiting a Knight Vexillor with the Banner of Apotheosis. So this got built, and which was, again, kind of I'm trying to stick with what came out of the core rule book, or not core rule book, but the Dominion box set. And so this model was already there, and I thought, well, what the heck? I'll go ahead and use him. We'll see how he does. And he ends up, once per game, he can heal 3 times D3 wounds to up to 3 units, or he can pile any combination thereof into the same unit. So if he wanted to, he could do a single D3, 2D3, or 3D3 wounds of healing onto a unit. And he's not a bad character in his own right. So he's built. That was good. And then the other thing that I ended up buying was some Storm Drake Guard. So I got not one, but I got 2 of these bad guys. And I'm really excited to get them primed and on the table. So that'll round out my 1,500 points for next week when we get some games in. I did not get a territory. I actually passed on it. I rolled small settlement again, and I said, hey, I don't need that. So I moved on from that. And then as far as my next quest, I haven't quite picked that yet, but I will. And for the artifact that I got the Hammer of Might. So that'll be good. On 6s, I think it doubles the wounds. 6s to wound, it'll double the amount of wounds taken by the enemy if they fail their saves. So that's pretty cool. Like I mentioned, 1,500 points the next go around, but my force is coming together. And let me dive into that. So this week, I spent time building the Storm Drake Guard. It probably took me the better part of 3 hours putting them together. And then I finished painting up this guy here, which you can see took me some time to get him all put together and painted, but I really enjoyed putting together my Knight Incantor. And I'm pretty happy with how he turned out overall. I think he looks pretty good. And then I also got my first unit of Vindictors. Sorry, I forgot the name there momentarily. And I'm pretty happy with how these guys turned out. And I'll take some photos and try and post these up. So you can see, I also got the banner guy done. The whole unit's complete, or the whole 5-man unit is finished up here. So I'm pretty happy. Like I said, I'll post some photos so you can see what they look like. I think they're going to be pretty cool. I am going to work on, I think, this coming week for week 3 of the league, the 1,500 points. I'm going to work on my Annihilators, which 200 points for 3 of these guys, and get them done. They did a nice job overall, so I think it's worth getting them painted and put on the board. And then maybe I'll either work on my General or the Knight Vexler with the Apotheosis banner. I think another character would be good. So those are my 2 goals for the week. I will say, though, that I had an opportunity to work on a side project, which I know some of you will say, dude, you still have, another 1,000 points to get painted up on your Hammers of Sigmar. But I decided to do a little palette cleanser, and let me show you what I did. I worked on the Punisher for Marvel Crisis Protocol. You can probably see right behind my left shoulder, right there, that I've got Kingpin painted up, and so I thought I would go ahead and get old Frank Castle, the Punisher, done. Went a little bit different than the box art. I painted his sea bag the olive green, which is what most sea bags look like, as opposed to just more black on this model. I didn't think it needed any additional black, but I got him done too. So it's been a pretty good painting week, and it's only Saturday. So I will call my next week's painting week starting tomorrow. So I anticipate I will get some work done on my next project, which actually might be another Marvel Crisis Protocol mini as a palette cleanser now that I got the Knight Arcanum done. So I'm thinking about working on Wolverine here. So I'll add him to the mix as well. Anyway, like I mentioned, next week, we've got 2 painting projects to get done. Probably the General and probably the Annihilators. I will also try and get in 2 games at 1,500 points. Now that the games are getting a little bit bigger, it's hard to get them both in a single night for me. But I'm gonna see what I can do. Maybe it'll be 2 nights. We'll see. Who knows? But overall, I'm having a great time with the league. Everybody I've played has been a blast. I'm learning a lot. We've got a lot of new players, and I can't recommend the Path to Glory enough when it comes to starting a new army. It's a great chance to start small and build out where you want to go. I am thinking about the next leap, which is 2,000 points, and where I might end up with those, and maybe I might add a unit of Annihilators with Grand Hammers, but that's only 240 points, which would leave me another 240 point or 260 points thereabouts, something like that, for another unit. So I don't know, haven't decided yet which way I'm gonna go. I'm definitely pleased that I've used all the models of the Dominion box set. Definitely not a waste. They're super cool. So we'll see. Outside of that, I really appreciate you all tuning in. So if you like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe, and I'll continue the journey of this AOS Path to Glory Season 1 event that we're doing. And tune in next week for another video about this time. All right, thanks everybody, and keep gaming. Take care.